Hello and welcome back to Brendan Reads. A lot of people have been asking me, how did you get the name for the patent pending poetry pack? Well, you see, I said patent pending poetry pack. Sorry, no, I said patented poetry pack. That's pretty good. That's a triple alliteration. I like alliteration. It's kind of like triple D, but it's triple P. And I said I can do better. Patent pending poetry pack. Presumptuous patent pending poetry pack. Then I thought about it. And I was like, presumptuous is too much, so we're going to make it just the patent pending poetry pack. Now, the hard part with the poetry packs is that you're like, Brendan edits these. He edits all his videos. If I stutter, unless it's really bad and I mess up really badly, I continue on with the story. I will not stop. I will re-record the video if it's bad enough and start from the beginning. So by the end of it, I should have these stories like down pat because I know I'm going to make mistakes. And all right, so the first story is called "I Want." It was the 32nd story I had written for my book. The last story I'm going to read is the 64th. Impressively, so these are much older since I'm at 106 or 114 or something like that, which is over my goal now. Then again, my original goal was 50. So maybe I'll keep it going for college. The idea was just to do it of high school. But maybe I should keep it going. Depends what you think, really. So the first story is called "I Want." I was in a bad place. I remember sending Skype messages to Liam that night saying I wanted to run away. I remember I kind of sent this as a message to him saying this is like a manifesto, dude. And he's like, "Don't do it. That's a stupid idea." And I have to tell you, Liam stops a lot of my stupid, dumb ideas like this. Liam's a lifesaver, literally. So I was in a bad spot, and a sad spot at that. So I want. I want to stop scratching at these walls, to stop clambering for air. I want to just walk away, to isolate myself, to think about myself, to feel the cold air sting my face, to get sick from the water, to get ill from the food, to degrade myself, to help myself understand, to go out and experience true pain, to get out and grow up, to show that I am in charge, to tell that I don't need people, to die my death without regret, to help those around me understand, to have them learn what it was like. Um, that's the end. So I got some of my drama work in there, but I remember this story. There's a funny story about "I Want" and the next story. Back in creative writing, one day, uh, basically, a bunch of poets from the University of Windsor, which is our local university, came in, and our creative writing teacher said, "Hey, if you want to submit some poetry written, they will read it out loud." And not a lot of people were doing what I was doing at the time, which was writing all this stories and all these poetry pieces. And so I printed out like 20 of them because I had so many. Actually, I think I handed in almost every one of these that I'm about to read today. And he's like, and so my teacher says, "Can you like cut them down to the ones you like?" And the I remember a couple of them. I handed in the Lovesick cassette series. I gave him. I gave him "I Want," "Little Boy," "Magnolia Tree," my unfinished children's story, which became more of a poem, which I just called "Unfinished Children's Story," but I changed the name because I didn't want to make it look like it's unfinished. Um, I handed in "Little Willow," which I knew they liked. They liked they liked "Little Boy," and they liked "I Want." And the funny thing was, after every poem they read, they'd say, "All right, who wrote this?" And so they were all separated into different piles, and so however mines were clumped together. So when they read my first one, they're like, "All right, who's this?" I'm like, "It's me." So I like this. This is a good piece. It's a little dark, and I like it. I'm like, "Thank you." So they read the next one. Who wrote this? I raise my hand again. And I look at them. Hey, that was mine. They're like, "Hmm, it's also very good." And then they get to my third one. They're like, "This one's also very good. It's a little sweet though." That was Unfinished Stoner Story. Um, and they asked, "Who wrote this?" I raised my hand like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Brendan Wakely." And the lady who was reading them said, "That's a good Irish name." I'm like, "Dang right it is. Dang right. Best Irish name. Besides maybe Finnegan. Finnegan's a good one. I'm going to name my child Finnegan. Just to mess him up. At least I'm not messing my child up like Liam. Um, and so everyone at this point was laughing, and that's how I became a legend because they just read all mine in a row, and it was it was it was a very happy day in my life. Um, I missed physics class for that, so maybe I should write the guy at the University of Windsor since he was one of the people there. Like he was the head of writing was there. All right, that's my little story. So the next piece is the 37th one I wrote, which was Little Boy. This was a piece I talked to myself when I'd walk home from school, and at one point I started thinking about how I always looked at the ground when I walked home from school, and I started thinking about it, and I kind of made this character around it, and kind of made the character me. And so this was the spawn of that character and that thought. Little boy, you think you're a man, but you're not. Little boy, keep looking at your shoes. You're too cowardly to face your problems. Little boy, you think you have the answers, but you don't. Little boy, you think you have some wisdom, but you've learned nothing. Little boy, you think you have values, a meaning, but you are nothing. Little boy, you think you have skills, but you're a klutz. Little boy, you're a drifter and a leech. But little boy, you're also me. And that's just kind of how I created that character. That's they like that one if I remember right. Um, I kind of like that one. I had someone come up, wow, you wrote the self-roasting poetry. I love that. I'm like, thank you. It's a little weird. It's a little personal. But I guess that's how all my poetry ends up. Because I kind of started writing about myself. And when I don't, I'm writing about, you know, I'm writing about other things. I've always got something on my mind. Anyways, 47, one I wrote. I was getting near the end of my book. It was near the end of the second semester. I'm like, alright, time to mash out like 8 pieces. And so a lot of them were poetry. So this one is called Career. I hate it because the first line reminds me of a Nickelback song, I think. I could never make it as a wise man. So, wait, is that cancel? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Never made it as a wise man? Never made. Don't worry about it. 47, career. He wanted to be a wise man, but no one asked for advice. He wanted to be a scientist, but he had nothing to research. He wanted to be a storyteller, but no one would listen. He wanted to be a pilot, but never flew. He wanted to be a writer, but there was no words. He wanted to be famous, but no one wanted to look. He wanted to be a rich man, but never had money. He wanted to be a leader no one would follow, and when he wanted to be a musician, he did not have the chords singing in his heart. He wanted to be original, but no one cared. He wanted to have a heart, but no one would look at him. It's kind of a weak piece in my opinion, but I'm sure someone can relate to it out there. Because it kind of goes through all the things I wanted to be in life, and I never doubt I'll ever be, unfortunately. 48 Coal Miner. So, I have tropes in my writing. And since grade 9, I've been writing stories about coal mines. Um, I don't know why, but I usually hand in at least I handed in one a year at least to an English class. I think last year I did two because I had two English classes. So this one was for the first semester college level English when we had to write tankas, which are like haikus but they're longer. I believe their pattern is 57577. So this is Coal Miner, the 48th one in the book. As a deep breath is breathed, deep down within the shaft, a gust of coals blow. Out of the mineshaft's mouth in a burst of flaming air. The and immediately after, I wrote one about daydreaming, which should come up in a later episode as another trope. Up high as a bird, a person flies as they dream. With a childish wit, everyone wants him captured and puts him back into place. I probably screwed up the pattern on that because I know I missaid a word. And now we get to one that I kind of just like the name of more than anything else because there's some I don't like in here. But these are the Lovesick cassettes. Not much to say about them. They speak for themselves, and although the first one, the 58th piece, was written as an original idea because we had to write for a thing called the Pluralist, and we were told I had the ability to write a story that's up to 55 words, and I'm like, and the theme was Secrets in Life. I'm like, what if I just wrote love? And I was like, that's too easy. Expand. So number 8 is forever. It's 4 letters, something we say hurtfully. I'll love you forever. That piece I was trying to be like, she's a local poet too. She's like, think Peely Island. I remember her piece. You fit me like a hook through the eye. A fish hook. A human eye. I wish I knew, but because I have that piece memorized in my head. Anyways, number 9, selfish. The first, he says, I. What selfish thoughts, she says. I love you, he cries. And then 10, time. And a mighty oak carved into the flesh. L and E. A bygone couple. Number 11, which is actually 61, is Pistons and Flowers. This was my start of my love of Neutral Milk Hotel, I think. A whisper said, "Don't let them stop you," he said, as their bodies fused. 12, fire. As his hands touch her, a flame lights passion fire. And then the wind blows. 13, drop. A drop on the ground. No one sure whose drop it is. The droplets of blood. And then finally, I believe the last one of the stories, lovesickness. It's an itching deep down within soft heart, poisoning himself. Thank you for listening. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe, whatever you do. I like comments. Talk to me. I'm lonely.